You know, when we talk about historical storms in the area, tropical storms, about 40 since 1851, but it's a best guess in the 19th century. Hurricanes were 25 major hurricanes, Cat 3 or higher, 111 mile an hour sustained winds or higher, 7. We talked earlier in the special about large-scale evacuations and flooding tropical storms. Interestingly enough, they both figure in analysis of the historic storms. This is what we're looking at as far as the first one. This is from 1975. This is Eloise. As it goes across the Gulf of Mexico, it was a Cat 3 out in the middle of the Gulf, took a turn to the northeast, dropped a significant tornado around Ozark, and also one up at Auburn along I-85 and knocked a lot of trees on the interstate. Also uprooted dozens of pecan trees, and wind gusts were up around 100 miles an hour in some areas, in addition to those 2 tornadoes that were dropped. This was back in September of 1975. Now, we go a little bit forward. We have Elena. That was the wayward storm. This was the bad news storm if you were going on a holiday down to Labor Day along the Gulf Coast. Elena started down in the West Indies, went up toward the Apalachicola area, stalled, and they evacuated the area around Panama City Beach, and then it went toward Tampa. Everybody came back, and then it went back across the Gulf and made landfall in Mississippi as a Cat 3. There were 2 evacuations with that storm. Meanwhile, the one that's really put a lot of fear into people was back in 1995. That was Opal. And that storm basically stewed as a tropical depression down here in the Gulf of Mexico, and then really rocketed as almost a Cat 5, and then weakened, but made landfall as a Cat 3. A lot of deaths from fallen trees and flooding concerns with that storm as it went up and created a lot of wind gusts around the Ozark area and also around the Fort Rucker area through time, as you see here. Again, that's the last one we've had in the area that was a major hurricane. We have Alberta and Beryl from 1994, but Alberta was the one that caused the flooding problems. 30 people died in that flooding when that storm stalled in the area. Anywhere from 12 to 20 inches of rain occurred during that time. Nate?
Thanks a lot, Oscar. A lot of historical information. We've all seen the destructive force of hurricanes and tropical storms once they impact land. But long before that, forecasters are studying how the storm is changing hour by hour. All this information collected from the air by hurricane hunters.
I think it's a weather nerd's dream job, that's for sure.
Flying into the eye of a hurricane may seem like lunacy, but for these brave pilots, scientists, and meteorologists, it's what they love to do. Last month, I got the chance to tour both planes used in hurricane hunter missions, the Air Force C-130 and the NOAA P-3 Orion, dubbed Miss Piggy. Each have their own story and their own job to do.
It is a technological marvel. Not just the planes themselves, but the instrumentation, the very unique methods that they have to measure various aspects of what's going on inside a hurricane.
Hurricane hunter missions have flown since World War II, and the instruments used sure have come a long way. The Air Force C-130 is the operational workhorse, collecting real-time weather data, while the NOAA P-3 is outfitted with the very latest technology to collect the most accurate data for forecasters on the ground.
The GPS dropsondes are, tremendous asset. It gives us a vertical profile of the storm. The Doppler radar or X-band radar, we've improved on that. We get better resolution, so it's going to help us with our intensity forecast, I think, down the road in the next 4 or 5 years.
The NOAA P-3 has flown into some pretty notable storms: Andrew in 1992, Opal in 1995, and Katrina in 2005. No flight into these storms is ever routine for the crew. They constantly have to be ready for conditions to rapidly change. And no hurricane season is ever routine.
We are really hoping that when the public comes out to see these aircraft and realizes we're throwing every bit of technology we possibly can at making the best possible forecasts and warnings, that they will go home and think, okay, well, I need to do my part to get ready for the next hurricane. And they're really easy, tangible things that people can do to get ready.
Even though the hurricane season is 6 months long, it takes hurricane hunters the entire year to get ready. And speaking with the crew, they're always prepared to take on whatever Mother Nature can dish out. And it really was an honor to get to meet the crew of both Hurricane Hunter aircraft and get to sort of live out my dream of flying a mission, but maybe one day. All right. The National Hurricane Center is always changing the way they communicate threats for tropical storms and hurricanes. And a big change this year, a big update this year, is a storm surge forecast map. And on Apple TV, you can see the website. This more realistically displays the chances for storm surge inundation in your area, and this actually goes down to street level. Several more subtle changes were made to their products, and for a complete list, we've set up a link online at the WTVY Hurricane Center page. All right, as we head to break, there are more important things you need to remember if you're asked to evacuate from your home. All of this and more information also can be found at WTVY.com/weather.